You're cute, that's why you get away with this. All right. So I'm going to start laying on my back in constructive rest position. So in the event this is new to you, we're gonna lie down. So you bring the feet, anyway, sorry, good morning everybody. I'm pretty sure everybody knows this already, but this is Yoga Pilates Fusion. So now that I've gotten back to the thing I was supposed to say at the beginning, we're gonna start in constructive rest position. So you put your feet on the floor like you're gonna come into bridge pose, but you wanna try to find the spot where it feels like your femur bone drops comfortably into your hip socket. So that could be like a little further out or a little further in. You may have to do a little experimenting to find the just right place. For me, pretty close to hips distance apart, and not too close in against my hips seems to be the best. So you want your pelvis to come to a neutral position, and then you're going to try to bring your chin to a neutral position. Now, I'm snuggling my shoulder blades underneath me a bit as well. If your chin still sticks up, you can put a blanket under your head to adjust for that positioning. And then we're just going to pause here for a few moments. This allows the hip flexors to really relax down deep into the body, and the deep muscles that support the femur bone to release. And then we're also going to allow the shoulders to relax as best we can. You can put your arms at a comfortable distance from your body and try to let the arm bone kind of drop into the shoulder socket. Now this can be really useful for people with overly tight hip flexors to come into this position and hold it. For some of us, especially if you have to work sitting at a desk all day or driving a car or something like that, and you're in the seated position for a good portion of the day, it can pull the hip flexors forward. So this allows them to drop back into the deeper part of the body. It can be a useful tonic at the end of a day. We're going to start at the beginning here, but it's useful either way. But you could hold this position for anywhere from 5 minutes or up to 20 minutes to allow that process to unfurl. And we're going to do it for just a bit, but you can take it home with you. Put it in your pocket and take it back with you. So now that you've kind of probably figured out where your body needs to go, and you've made those little teeny tiny adjustments to make it just right, now we're going to deepen the breath. Let the breath drop in completely. Stay like this for about another 30 seconds or so. It's really not very long, in terms of how long you could do this, but hopefully long enough for us to let everything settle into the back body. And we'll do a few other things to help kind of continue on this path. Releasing out. So we're going to take a nice deep breath. And then you're going to lift the toes of your right foot and just slide that leg all the way out straight. Give it a good reach out, and then we're going to see if we can just drag it back where it came from without causing too much trouble with the yoga mat. It's easier just on the carpet, but slide the leg out straight. Reach through the heel. And then we're just going to bring it back, and I just lightly kind of roll over the edge of the yoga mat. And then one more time, we're gonna slide that leg out straight. Reach out through the heel, and this time we're gonna leave it in this position and bring the left leg in, and if you can, give that a hug. So you're holding onto the left leg and reaching out through your right heel. Now for me, there's a little bit of sensation, right? My right hip flexors are tighter than my left ones, so I definitely feel that on this side. If you want to up the ante a little bit, you can reach in and grab hold of the sole of your foot, and then keep reaching that right leg out. This just kind of brings everything a little bit more off the ground. And then some people will find none of these moves create this sensation of stretch here at the top of the hip. And then for you, you might need to position yourself up on a block. We're only going to stay here for 2 more breaths, so this is just something for future reference. All right, so we're going to let go of the left foot, and then we're going to take the left foot back down to the floor, and again, we're going to just draw that right leg back in. And then just pause for a moment. You can do this little movement pattern as you like. But then we're going to come back to that positioning with the legs and just feel the 2 hips in relationship to each other. Is there a difference in the right side or the left side? Now, we're working at really deep muscles that don't have a lot of really sensitive nerve endings in them, so it's a very subtle sensation. The closer you get to the surface of the body, the more nerve endings there are in these areas, so we feel the bigger muscles that are more responsible for movement. The muscles that we're dealing with here are muscles that are deeper and more responsible for stability, okay? So those are harder to feel, but just see. So we're going to do the same thing, but on the other side. So we're going to leave the right foot where it is. We're going to lift the left toes. We're going to slide the left leg out. And again, you're just going to stretch out through the heel. And, you know, try to keep your hips stable, keep your spine stable, but just reach out. And then we're going to glide back and kind of just over the top edge of your yoga mat if you happen to run into that. So lifting the heels and gliding the left heel out and away. Do it like this, without too much lift, again, so that we avoid using the really big muscles that pick things up, and we can really do more of the stabilizer muscles, okay? And then one more time, we're gonna stretch the left leg out, and this time, again, we're gonna reach out through the left leg, bring the right leg in, and hang on to it. And so I'm holding the right leg and reaching through the left nice and firm. You can keep your knee a little bit bent as needed. And again, this might be plenty. Or maybe you reach in and grab hold of your foot and let that come a little bit more to the side, so you've got a little bit of action trying to lift your pelvis up here, and then you're just working with those deep stabilizers to hold it steady. Again, I'm actively reaching my left leg out in a way that may not be very apparent on the video. Take one more big breath, and then I'm going to release this foot, and I'm going to, again, bring the right foot back to the starting point, glide that left foot back in, and again, right here at the beginning, you can do a little bit of movement, and then just come back to that moment where both the legs are about where they were at the beginning, and feel. Just let everything fall into the hip socket. Just see if it feels a little more even. So again, this is an exercise that's really great for releasing tension, right? And so the muscles that tense up either when we have to sit for long periods of time at a desk job or a driving job or anything where you have to sit, really, or those are the same muscles that tighten up in the anxiety situations, and I don't know about you guys, but maybe those are relevant right now. So in any case, helping to release some of this deep tension is useful in the shoulders and the hips. So we're going to do a nice big long stretch. We're going to bring both legs out, give it a really big long reach. And just to sort of re-emphasize this, we're going to do a little bit of a banana, and we're going to take 5 breaths on each side. So you can grab this wrist, or you can leave your arms loose. So just, if you like, you could swing this leg up and over the top a little bit, so it gives a little bit more stretch to the outer hip. And so now we're more actively releasing the same muscle areas, but also all the muscles that work around it that help move our body. So we're going to do one more big breath here. And then we'll come on back to the center. And before we do the opposite side, just give yourself a moment to stretch down the center, see if there's a slight difference. And then we can curve this the other direction, kind of just kind of wobble over into this banana shape. And then reach out, or you can cross at the ankle here. Oh, give that a little extra love. A couple more big breaths. And then when your exhale finds you, come on back to the center. Oh, good. Bring your knees up and in. Oh. All right, I like to give myself a little bit of massage right on the back of the sacrum here. So we're gonna grab hold of both knees and curl the shoulder blades up off the floor. And so as much as you can work with your abs, that's really what we're looking for. Now, you can bring your hands behind your head, let your head kind of press back into your hands, and extend the legs out. We're trying to hold the torso nice and stable, and then curl it back in. You can, if you feel like you can do this without causing trouble for your neck, also reach out the arms. Now, I'm not moving my torso, that's holding me stable. Everything else is moving around me though. Okay, so if I'm feeling like I'm doing my neck muscles instead of my abs, put the head into the hands and press your head back and just do the leg extension. Right on. Now we got 3 more to go. Curl in. So I'm not lifting my shoulder blades more or lowering them. I'm just holding it steady. Beautiful. Now bring your head back down. Release your legs down. Give yourself a moment. Notice what you feel, right? So we should feel these in the deep muscles along the sides of the waist. You might feel in the erectus abdominis also, because that helps us curl up. And so that's a movement for stabilizers. And again, the stabilizers of the core are also really deep and also harder to feel, right on? So we pay a little bit more attention and see what we got. Eventually, the mind makes a connection to those muscles. It's pretty cool. All right, we're gonna do some scissors, and we're gonna bring the upper body again back into that same position. Again, you can put your hands behind your head. Now here's the thing with the hands behind the head. You don't wanna pull on your neck. What you're doing is you're pressing the head back into the hands and then using the abs to lift yourself, okay? This keeps the neck nice and stable, and literally it's the hands and the head are pressing into each other so that you're not doing neck muscles. Just make sure you use the neck muscles to hold your neck stable, and then you have to rely on your abs to get the curl in the body, okay? So that's largely moving the rectus abdominis, and then when we hold stable, squeezing in through the sides of the waist, that's gonna activate those deeper muscles, okay? So you're gonna bring your legs up, and we're gonna scissor them back and forth. So one's gonna go out, one's gonna go up. We're gonna try to get a little extra lift, So again, you can put your hands behind your head, push your head back, so that little extra lift is not coming from your neck, but it's coming from your abs. It's hard to talk and do this at the same time. Okay? Exhale, lift, exhale, lift, exhale, lift. Reach through both legs. Good, 2 more. Last one. Good. Bring yourself back down. Oh, that feels good. Give yourself a little rinse. Oh. Whew. That is nice. All right. So we're gonna do a little a little twist for the obliques. So we're gonna bring the legs in. We're gonna shoot one leg out straight, keep the other one bent, and then we're gonna curl up towards the knee that we're moving towards. So rather than try to be rapid with this, we're gonna go deeper. So we're gonna curl up a little bit more, and a little bit more, and then come back down, okay? So we're gonna try to get to every single layer in these side waist muscles, right? These oblique muscles that help draw us towards the center line. So those are what we're really trying to strengthen, is the sides of the waist. Let's see how it works. All right, so again, we're gonna put the hands behind the head. We're gonna press the head into the hands. We're gonna lift the shoulders a bit. We're gonna bring the right knee in, Left leg's going out straight. Now we're gonna curl up, 1, 2, 3. Come back to the center, both knees in. Right leg goes straight, curl, 1, 2, 3. Center, 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 good, we got 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Center, 1, 2, 3. Center, 1, 2, 3. Center, 1, 2, 3. Center, last round, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Center, 1, 2, 3. Center, good. So can you feel this almost like an X that goes right over the side of your waist? It's good. So, I like that feeling. We're gonna give ourselves a little rinse. Just pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. All right, yogis, we're gonna bring ourselves onto our side. So, I'm gonna scooch back just a little bit and hopefully I'll stay inside your frame. So we're gonna roll onto the side so that my head is resting on my upper arm and my hip is resting on top right of the other. So I'm not leaning backwards if I can help it. I'm gonna keep this hip nice and tall. Now, your hand can go in a couple of places. You can put your hand up front so that it's a stabilizer. You can put your hand on your hip so that it's easier to kind of monitor whether your hip is rocking back or forth. Or you can bring your arm straight up in the air, which makes it a little more challenging, or touch it by the ear if the elbow straight is problematic, okay? So that will increase the amount of challenge you've got. Now, the more your legs are kind of lined up back at the back, the more challenging this is if you bring your legs a little bit forward, a little more stable, right on? So we're gonna take this top leg and we're gonna bring it all the way up. And then we're gonna flex the foot and bring it all the way down. And we're gonna go really slow and try to hold the torso nice and stable. If you want a bigger challenge, lift your legs all the way up off the floor. And then as you come up and go back down, it's gonna require a lot more stabilization, okay? So we're going up and down. And again, our job is to hold the torso stable while the leg is doing this movement really slow and with a lot of precision. Okay. I'm going to do 3 more of these. And if it doesn't feel like it's challenging enough, take it up a notch. We got 1 more to go. See what that last one is like. All right, now bring in the legs together. We're gonna turn the top leg so that it winds up in an internal rotation. So you're gonna feel where it is. For me, when my legs are in their normal position, they tend to go out a little bit. They tend to externally rotate. So I have to really concentrate on internally rotating my thigh. So it feels like my knee points down at a diagonal towards the floor, okay? So lift the leg just a little bit, rotate in that direction, and then we're gonna make some circular shapes. And they don't have to be big circles. We're trying to work really deep in the level of the hip. And we're stimulating a movement in a little teeny tiny muscle here, and a little tiny muscle over here. And so these movements don't have to be big to be effective, but we do want them to be smooth and as best we can maintain stability in the torso and the core. Okay, we got 2 more. All right, now pause right there and feel the muscles that you feel. So do you feel this little muscle right here? So there's a muscle right here next to the quad that is responsible for that internal rotation, and hopefully we're feeling that guy. And then you might have felt something over here in your glute as well, because those 2 muscles are antagonists. They have a relationship with each other where when one contracts, the other releases. And so sometimes that release is more like a contraction as the movement happens, right? One contracts the other, let's go. One contracts the other, let's go. So it's an interesting thing to kind of feel the relationship between the muscles in your body. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do the external rotation a little bit to the extreme. So I'm rotating my top leg as much as I can out, lifting it just a little bit, and then I'm going to try to circle it the opposite direction of how I went last time. Sometimes it takes me a couple seconds to figure that out. And again, it's not a big movement. We want to feel if there's a difference in the muscle that we're connecting to. Okay? Can you feel this one in a different place, or is it in exactly the same place? Just notice. And notice if one place is sharper than the other. Hug in through the abs, keep that steady. 3 more. Last one. And then come on down. And again, for me, that's a little different. I get a lot more in this upper outer hip, my IT band area, a little bit different position. So you may or may not feel that. It's kind of cool just to notice. Now we're going to really work this outer hip. And again, we'll be working with these little inner thigh guys. So we're going to open the leg. We're going to extend the leg if it's possible. Bring it back, close it up. If you're still building strength in your legs, you can just hold here and then bring it back together, okay? So we're going to start with the hips nice and stable, feet are high, knees are low, trying to hold the torso stable, open the leg, extend it, bring the toes back, close it up. So we're keeping this movement nice and smooth and nice and steady and trying to hold that torso stable. We got 3 more to go, yogis. So you're doing great. Good. Now, when you get the knees back together, we're going to let that whole thing release back out. And then again, just feel. Feel where you notice the sensations, feel what's happening in your body. We're going to bring this top leg up front. Now, I like to put my foot on the ground like that because it stretches that whole area. I was just working really well. You can also let your leg rest more toward the ground and not have the knee up. So we're going to pick the bottom leg up now, and we're going to, again, engage through the core. We're going to engage a little deeper through the lower side of the abdominals, and then we're going to try to pulse this leg up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it steady there. Now we're going to try to make a circle in the air, or you can do a figure 8, or just circling is fine. Again, little circle, pause, go the other direction. Try to hold that leg up and feel yourself dial in through the side of the waist over here. Beautiful. Pause in the center now. Your inner thigh might be getting a little tired. We're going to keep going now. 10, 9 little pulsations. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring that leg down. Now we're going to come back onto our back. And then pause for a moment. Now you can come back to this constructive rest position we did at the beginning and see if you can feel a difference between the left hip and the right hip. Or you can extend the legs all the way out. I find this kind of fun. All right, so here's what we're going to try. We're going to put this right foot up on top of this left thigh. It can be the shin, really, or the ankle on top of the thigh. We're going to curl the shoulder blades nice and firm underneath us. You're going to press your upper arms down. Now, I like to do these little robot arms, but you can have your hands on the floor if you like. So we're going to power the hips up as high as we can bring them up, and then we're going to come down nice and slow, okay? So we're going to power the hips up, and then try to come down for 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way back down. If you get a hamstring cramp, stretch it out. We'll do our best. Here we go. Power it up and down for 4, 3, 2, 1. Power it up. Down 4, 3, 2, 1. Power it up. Down 4, 3, 2, 1. Power it up. Down 4, 3, 2, 1. We got 2 more to go. Power it up. Down. 4, 3, 2, 1. We got last one here, yogis. Here we go. Lift. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Release your leg. Oh. Now, you could just roll right over if you feel pretty confident. You don't need to see the screen, or if you're on, if I'm on your phone, just bring your phone over to the other side. But I'm gonna spin around 180 degrees. And you can too, if it's complicated to move your screen and you wanna be able to see. Okay, so once again, we're laying on our side, and I have my arm positioned on, or my head positioned on my arm. And then again, I'm gonna kind of feel out, like, does it feel okay for me to have my legs extended? Does that feel too wobbly? Should I bring my legs a little bit forward? And so you're just kind of finding the position that gives you that sense of stability. Again, you can have your hand up front, hand on your hip, hand by your head. You can have the legs a little lifted to make this more challenging. And we're gonna rotate this top leg out a little bit. That leg's coming up. And then we're gonna stretch the leg and come down. And we're doing this slowly and with a lot of, like, the word I wanna use is reserved power, but what we're doing is we're really kind of, it's almost like we're creating resistance, okay? So we're creating resistance here on the way down and on the way up. Like we're working through water. If you've ever kind of, if you have that concept of what it's like to kind of push against the water, either when you're swimming or walking through water that's kind of waist deep, that'll give you a good idea. So we're doing this nice and steady. We're gonna get stronger, but that steadiness is important, okay? We got 2 more to go. And just feeling the muscles in your hip that are making this happen. All right, so we're gonna pause at the bottom. And again, we're gonna internally rotate this top leg. So we're gonna see if we can find that internal rotation. So it feels like the thigh is rotating. You don't wanna just spin your foot, spin the whole thigh. And then we're gonna make a circular shape. I'm kind of reaching through my toe because that's helpful. Okay, and try to hold steady through your torso. So hug in here while your leg is trying to make you not steady. 3 more, 1 more, good, pause, okay? Feel, is this hip different than the other hip was? Can you feel a little more sensitivity or a little less sensitivity here? So we're gonna rotate the leg so the toes point up, the knee points up a little bit, and then we're gonna try to circle the opposite direction, holding the torso nice and steady. Good, 2 more, last one, come on down. And feel that. Again, for me, they're different. One I feel in very tiny muscles, the other one I feel much bigger muscles, much bigger muscles responsible for those movements. I think it's kind of cool to notice what you feel. So we're gonna bring the feet around behind us, lift the knees up, and again, I wanna get my torso nice and stable here. We're gonna open this leg, extend it if that's possible, bring the toes together, bring the leg together, okay? This works all of the muscles that stabilize our hip. So it's really powerful movement, even though it doesn't seem like we're doing that much. It really does help. Oh, really cool collection of muscles. Not to mention our abdominals as they stabilize us through this movement. All right. Oh. Keep going, yogis. We got 4 more to go. Possible that you're already done, but let's try to do 2 more if we can. Last one. Beautiful. And then bring your legs out. Oh, feel that. Nice. So we're gonna bring the leg forward, or you can do it the way I do it, where you kind of nestle that foot onto the floor so this whole area is getting a nice stretch. And then we're gonna lift that bottom leg, and again, we're gonna try to pick it up from the side of the waist down here and lift. And then we're going to pulse that guy up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. Make a circle. Ellipse, whatever you got. Your favorite geometric shape will also work. Stay one more there. Pause. We're going to go the other direction. Oh, feels so good, y'all. Take two more. One more. Those inner thighs are working hard. We got one more pulsation set. We go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that leg down. Oh. All right, yogis. We're gonna pause. We're gonna pause there and roll onto our back again, so we can do the other half of our little bridge pigeons. Hold on, I need a drink before I move. Talking too much. All right, we're rolling over. So now my right foot is going to be on the ground, and my left ankle is going to be up on top. And then, I'm going to get my shoulder blades under me, elbows planted. You might do the robot arms. You might do a different arm position. And then we're going to see if we can do this. We're going to power up the hips and come down nice and slow for 4, 3, 2, 1 is all the way down. Power it up. Coming down 4, 3, 2, 1. Power it up. Coming down 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Power it up. Coming down 4, 3, 2, 1. Halfway there. Power up. Coming down 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe your hips can lift higher than mine. Maybe it's just a tiny bit off the floor. 4, 3, 2, 1. Whatever it is, just keep it going. 2 more. 3, 2, 1. And go for it. Last one. We go up and go down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let you rest on the floor, and then you can stretch your legs all the way out straight. Or come back to that constructive rest one more time and just feel where it landed you. It's feeling pretty great, yogis. So we're gonna rock ourselves up. Now, sometimes it is easier to do this rolling like a ball bit from coming up already, okay? So if you wanted to, you can, like if it feels like your back's not sure about this yet, you can get yourself into the rounded position first, and then kind of let your spine sort of round over, because we're going to have to make our spine make that shape, and then roll back and forth over it. And for some of us, it's fun to start that right away. So you're going to hug in your legs, and then we're going to rock back and rock up, and try to make it nice and smooth. If you can, catch the little boat pose at the top. Rock back, rock. Oh, hold on, I gotta go back again. I was trying not to crunch my hair against the beanbag chair. Let's try that a few more times. Try to get nice and smooth. So that's abs, right? Curling in as tight as you can. Get your back as round as possible. One more. When you get to the top, we're going to pause for a moment in this boat pose. So grab your ankles for just a second and lift up through your heart and engage through your abs, and then let go of your ankles and see. Maybe the legs stay bent. Maybe you can straighten them out. Hold it steady. Good, you're doing great. We got 2 more breaths. Don't forget to breathe. And then we're going to come up to all fours. So, maybe you need a little extra padding under your knees. Go ahead and add that in. And then we're going to round and sway the back. and around. That'll feel a little more familiar after rolling like a ball. But oh, that one might feel nice too. Change your upper back a little bit. And then see if you can tuck that lower back around into the curve. Now we're going to take the right leg out behind us and give it a good long reach. And then you're going to bring the knee in, curl up, and bring it out. Now some people can touch their forehead and their knee together, and some of us are just going to bring our knee in as tight as it'll go. And then you might want to add your arm to it and curl elbow and knee together and stretch them out. Elbow and knee together, stretch them out. If that's too much, just do the leg. Curl them in, stretch it out last time, curl it in, stretch it out, reach, and then lower down. And then pause for a moment, feel the difference. Feels kind of good. So we're going to take the left leg out, and again, you can just curl in with the left leg, or you can add that right elbow, curl it in, stretch it out, curl it in, stretch it out, curl it in, stretch it out, couple more, curl it in, stretch out, one more time, curl in, stretch out, lower down. All right, yogis, take your knees a little on the wide side. We're going to take the right arm up and just reach it out, and then you're going to take that whole shoulder underneath you and plant it on the floor. Your left hand could kind of press a little bit so that your shoulder rolls more into the stretch. You could wrap it over your back, or you could use it right here to kind of help distribute the weight if it's feeling too heavy on your head, okay? Two more breaths. Feels so nice. Last big breath. All right, so we're going to free ourselves from here, and I'm going to take this arm. As I take this arm out, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shake, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring my right leg forward. Now, if you have a couple of yoga blocks, they can be quite useful here. So you could get those. If you don't have yoga blocks but you've got furniture, you can use your furniture for stability. So we're going to bring the hip forward. Now we've already stretched this area out a bit, so hopefully this is going to be a little more friendly. We're going to fold back and stretch out the hamstrings here. So coming forward, feel where your left hip tells you to stop, or yeah, whatever hip is in front if you did it the other way. And then fold over. Beautiful, so bringing the hip forward. And then folding over backward. Now we're going to bring the hip forward, and we're going to bring the torso up if we can. This is where the blocks can come in handy if you're a little wobbly. So hold and steady now. This hip should be as far forward as it feels okay to go. You need to back off a little bit, back off a little bit. Now I've got one hand on my hip, and I'm sort of actively pulling that shoulder back. I'll do the other side when we get to the other one. I'm taking one more big breath. Beautiful. Now we're going to fold back over these hamstrings, but we're going to change this up a little bit. So you're going to bring both hands over to this kind of diagonal, and then see like how far into this does it feel okay to fold. Should you bend this knee a little bit or keep that leg all the way straight? Now for me, this pulls the stretch a little more into the inner hamstrings and away from the outer hamstring. That may not be true for you. Taking one more breath. And then we're going to adjust this back. Come back to the side. And then the left arm, so going a little wide in the knees. And my left arm is going to reach out, and I'm going to thread that underneath. And again, kind of snuggle into this position. You might want to go back closer to your heels or a little further up so that it feels like an okay position to be in. And then I'm kind of pulling backwards into my shoulder a little bit by pressing my hand into the edge of my mat here. And again, there's those other options I mentioned before. This arm can go around behind your back or snuggle in beside you to help hold your head. kind of roll myself a little bit onto my shoulder. But I've got no weight in my head, it's just in that shoulder. So we got 2 breaths. So I'm going to free this arm, give it a little rinse, and then I'm going to bring that same leg forward for the lunge on the opposite side. Okay, so once you've gotten yourself positioned so that it feels reasonable, again, we're going to take the hip forward, and then we're going to take the hip back. So we're just moving forward and backward through this shape. Feeling out the front of the hip. So for me, my right hip is a lot spicier. I feel it way sooner than I do on the left. So it's not as big a movement pattern. We're going to see if we can fold it all the way over. Move forward. And it might just go back just that much, but maybe you've got a little more room you can fold over. And then coming forward again. Ooh. Taking it back and folding over it. And again, we're going to do it one more time, but this time we're going to hold it. So we're going to move ourselves forward. And I'm going to take that hand to my hip like I had it last time and gently draw that shoulder blade down and in. I'm just feeling, by taking the torso up and adding this little bit of a back bend, creates just a little bit more sensation for me around that right hip. And so you're feeling yours out as well. Taking some deep breaths, yogis. 2 more. Now we're going to release the hips, send it back. And again, we'll start there with the hamstring stretch, and then we're going to see if we can make it over to the diagonal. So coming over to the diagonal to fold in. Oh. Yogis, take another deep breath. And then we're going to come back to the center, bring that leg back. Whew. Give them both a little rinse. And then you can take yourself either to child's pose, which will put you right, kind of close to the ground. Or if downward dog is more your jam, you can take yourself to downward dog, hands about shoulder distance apart or so. Hips go up. Find a place where that feels like you can connect to your upper back. Shoulders nice and steady, hips move. Maybe a little bit side to side. Or maybe you walk the heels up and down. Ooh. Downward dog, you are my friend, but not everybody's friend. So we're going to come forward into a plank. It can be a modified plank from that child's pose especially. Draw that navel in, really hug. We're holding this plank for a few more breaths, about 5. Try not to let yourself sag into the floor. Really press back. Draw the navel in. Breathe into the upper part of your chest. Last 2 breaths. All right, and we're lowering all the way down. We're going to come into a cobra to start with. So hands by your shoulders, and then plant the palms. Lift yourself up with your back muscles. So we're not pushing with the arms, but we are going to do something with the arms. So you're going to lift with your back muscles, and then you're going to pull against the floor and try to draw the shoulders back and in, okay? And come on down. Now, we're going to ease the hands back a little bit, press into the legs, reach through the legs, use your back muscles, lift yourself, and then draw back through your elbows, back through your shoulder blades. Open up that front of your chest, and coming on down. Whew, we're going to do it again. Hands a little further back. Now, my palm won't go all the way to the ground here, but it's not a big deal because when I lift, it will, okay? So press the palms down, Draw the elbows back, lift as hard as you can, as high up as you can go. Ooh, using your back muscles and not your arms. Last breath here. Beautiful. Come on back down. Now, we're gonna take a Sphinx shape. So it could be that you're gonna put your elbows here and just rest your forehead, and that might be enough back bend for one day. It could be that you can come to the elbows, and I like my elbow a little bit forward of my shoulder, so shoulders back here, elbows up here, and a little bit in, because that lets my shoulder muscles kind of find a happy home. If my elbows are tucked in too tight, they want to come up around my ears, and it's a little harder to get the shoulder blades where I want them. But if I pull the elbows out a little bit in front, then I have a little more room to adjust the shoulder blades down. Now you can also prop up on your hands, but the same thing is going to happen. You're going to draw the shoulder blades down, press into the legs, create a little bit more energy here. This one's plenty for me. I don't have that much curve in my low back. So I'm pressing my elbows into the floor, drawing my legs back, pulling the collarbones wider, and breathing. It's a lot to do, yogis. A lot to do. We got 2 more breaths. All right, so hopefully our back has kind of memorized that shape a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come down, you're gonna rest your head on the floor so that your face is turned to one side. Now every time we come up, we're gonna bring the head to neutral, then we're gonna switch which side of the head we're laying on. We'll come up, and then we'll come down, okay? Now the arms can be laced together behind your back, and if your shoulders are a little on the tighter side, just rest your arms beside your hips. And when you come up, you're gonna lift those arms back, try to draw them around towards the back, and then come down. So put the opposite head on, or opposite cheek on the ground, lift, come down. Okay, so that's the upper body work. Now the lower body work, we're gonna kick the heels in, 1, 2, 3 against the hips. Then we're gonna lengthen through the legs, everything lifts, and then coming down opposite side of the head, 1, 2, 3, everything lifts, squeeze to the midline a bit, coming down opposite cheek, 1, 2, 3, everything lifts, coming down, 1, 2, 3, everything lifts, coming down, 1, 2, 3, everything lifts, coming down. We're gonna do this 2 more times on each side, 1, 2, 3, everything lifts, coming down. So here's our first side, 1, 2, 3, lift, come down, 1, 2, 3, lift, come down. 1 more on each side, 1, 2, 3, lift, come down. Last one, 1, 2, 3, lift, come down. Good. So we're gonna stretch the legs out. You can windshield wiper them if you'd rather. Oh, now, we're gonna come into a pigeon shape. I'm gonna show you a couple of ways to get into that. So the first way is to come back either to all fours or to downward dog. I'll show you from an all fours position, but downward dog is gonna be pretty much the same. You're gonna bring your right leg forward, swing the heel out so that it's kind of on a diagonal. And then once you get the left leg on the ground, if it's not already there, then you're gonna slide that leg back until you get as close to the ground as your hip will let you go. And you can pause here, or you can pause in a more upright position, okay? So this is pigeon option number 1. Pigeon option number 2 rolls us back onto our back. And kind of back to where we did that bridge position, except we're gonna change up the legs, okay? So we're gonna start here, right leg up on top, and then you're gonna bring the leg in towards you. And whatever angle it felt like, you can hold this leg. Maybe it's gonna be like that. Maybe the knee's gonna be a little closer, foot's gonna be a little farther away. Just be mindful not to try to torque the bottom part of your leg. Move from your thigh, okay? So if your thigh will rotate out more, awesome. Then we're gonna extend this leg out and sort of coming back home to where we started. But this is a great way to do the pigeon if the other way is too spicy, okay? So pigeon option number 2 is this, and extend that leg out. And this might be the time, because we're gonna stay a little while, this might be the excellent time to add that little block. So you put the block under your hip, you bring this leg in, and then when you extend this leg out, you get that little extra length here. And just be mindful of your knee. Don't do things you shouldn't do. There's pain in your knee. You'll feel it later. So we're breathing here. Whatever choice you made. Stay for about 30 more seconds. Now for me, that's about 3.5 deep breaths. Maybe closer to 4 for some of us. Maybe closer to 2 for others. So you're going to take a big breath. Now, if you're in the regular pigeon, lean into your right hip, and then you're going to bring that left leg around. And if you're in this version of the pigeon, we're going to let go of the leg. If you've got a block under you, let go of that. And then we're going to all come up to a seated position. Now, the right leg is going to be on the bottom. The left leg is going to come up on top. And then you just want to make sure that your hips are stable on the floor. If you've got one hip up higher than the other so that you could get this leg around, your body's not going to twist well. So just be honest with yourself and put your hip on the bottom, lean back a little bit, sit up tall, twist towards your leg, and then come back in towards the leg. Hold on to it as you like. So if you want to put your elbow on the outside, that's fine. And then we're going to draw the shoulder blades down the back in a special way. So this back shoulder, I'm going to pull down and in, and my front shoulder, I'm going to lift up and pull out a little, so that I've got the shoulders almost moving in 2 opposite directions, which for me helps release some tension from my upper back. I don't know about you, but that feels good. Less tension in my upper back is always welcome. Two more breaths, yogis. All right, so we're going to unwind that. Now, this is where you might need a little bit of movement just to sort of unwind, and then we're going to do the pigeon on the other side. So you can either come back to your all fours or your dog, step your left leg forward, or you can come to the left leg on the back, right on. And my right hip is spicier, so I'm not going to need the block for the second side, but you can put the block back underneath your hip if that is helpful for you. So I already know that if I bring this left side in and just stretch my right side out, that's going to be enough. So, but again, you can elevate the hips so that you get that little extra drop over, which will give your hip flexors that stretch that you get from being in the pigeon on your belly. If you're doing it because this makes your knee less grouchy, that's definitely a win. And so choose that pigeon that's right for you. Once you're snuggled in, come back home to that really deep breath. Taking some nice deep breaths. We're going to stay here for about 30 more seconds. So that's, again, coming back to that, like, let's say 4 deep breaths. Might be a little more, a little less. to take a big inhale, and then you're going to gently release your shape. And again, you might be able to just roll yourself up into the twist. Some of us are going to roll ourselves over and come all the way up. And so this right leg is now on top. I'm going to get both my sit bones even, lean back a little, twist, and then come back up to tall. And again, we're going to see if we can do the shoulder blades a little bit. So I'm going to take first I'm going to just take my shoulder blades and draw them in so that I've got this sensation of kind of broadening my upper back. Then the front shoulder's going forward and up a bit, and the back shoulder is going down and in a bit. So that there's a sense, for me the way it feels is almost like I'm trying to draw a figure 8 in my upper back. Now, yogis, we're going to take 2 more breaths. Unwind this whole thing. Give yourself a little rinse. And for some of you, you might have to run off and go to work, and this will be a good place to stay, but if you've got a couple minutes, you can join me in Shavasana. So we'll take ourselves around. Release down, and if you care to, you can do this little back massage. And maybe even add like a couple pillows or something underneath the legs, whatever you got around your living room or your bedroom, wherever you're doing yoga today. And then just let the body rest for a few moments. Shavasana is like pushing the reset button. So we do all this work and we stimulate all this activity in the body, the blood flow and the lymphatic flow and all kinds of great stuff happening. And so now we just allow the nervous system to rest and sort of integrate all that work. Try to become aware if there's still a little bit of tension that you're holding around your eyes, or around the mouth. And let all those places go. Check in with the shoulders, just make sure that that feels like you're able to let go there. And then coming back to this, really deeply try to release right there at the front of your hip flexor. Body surrender into the floor. take a moment and notice your breath again. Take a really big breath. And let go with a big sigh. Give your fingers and toes a little wiggle. Stretch everything out. Reach your arms and legs away from each other. And then you can curl up in a ball. Give yourself one more little hug. Back massage for the road. And then come on up. When you're ready. So if you made it to this point, thank you so much for joining me for Yoga Pilates Fusion. Let's take a nice big breath together. Let go with a sigh. Namaste, beautiful yogis. Enjoy the rest of your day.